Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Nick Osuna, who recently won his fight on Fury Challenger Series 15. Hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good. And a few weeks ago, you defeated, I think, that overall really good fighter who got like Fury FC experience or also bare knuckle experience. You submitted him in the second round. And if you can tell me after a few weeks, how do you think? What do you think about this fight? And how do you feel right now, like physically and mentally?
Well, I think the fight was a very entertaining fight. It definitely wasn't my cleanest performance, or that wasn't the best of my capabilities, especially in the first round. But I dug deep and got the finish in the second, and that's really all that matters. I think that fight was very important, like for my career. To go through some adversity early in the fight, come back and get the finish. So, but for the second part of that question, physically, I feel fine. Already back to training, so just feeling good.
And actually, I think that this kind of fights are really important. Maybe not to have like too many of them, but in the end, probably like later in your career, in the end, you would have this kind of fight that is a little bit tougher. So I think that it actually can show how good the fighter is when not everything is perfect, and in the end, he can win a fight. So probably a really good in the end, like a really good experience for you. And also, it was actually, I believe, your first finish in MMA, like amateur or amateur and pro.
Yes, it was, and I'm so glad I finally got that out of the way. Like I've been wanting like a finish for my whole career, it just never happened, and that was something I was a little bit, like when is it going to happen? So for it to finally happen with like my signature, anaconda choke, it was a really good feeling.
But also, I think that in amateur fights, sometimes it's really hard to finish your opponent because you usually have just 3 minutes. So sometimes, especially on the ground, it's really hard to work for 3 minutes and like find the finish. And if you have like additional 2 minutes, probably you will have like much more opportunities for the finish.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like in one of my earlier amateur fights, I landed a spinning elbow and it dropped the guy, and I was just like going in for the kill, and then the round ended. So, like you were saying, the longer rounds definitely help getting more finishes for sure.
And right now you are 2-0, and of course 2-0 in Furies, which of course is like great promotion. And the question is, what do you think should be next for you now? Do you have maybe some date or opponent that you are interested in fighting?
Date wise, I'm probably looking to be back like late February, early March. That would be a good time because I want to get in at least 3 fights next year. I want to be active. I want to stay in the scene and keep building my record. But specific, like opponent wise, no, I just take whoever they send me. I've never said no to anyone. I take hard fights because that's how you get better. You have to take hard fights to get better.
And of course, last weekend there was like super big night for your gym because Joshua
Yes.
Van fought for the flyweight title. And if
Yeah.
you can tell me right now, what kind of vibes are in the gym? How happy are you as the team that right now you have the UFC world champion?
Vibes are good, man. Like, world champion at such a young age. Like, the fight may have not have ended the way he wanted to, but the result would have been the same. Like, and knew, Josh would have won the fight regardless of how the fight would have went down. So, everyone in the gym is like ecstatic. Like UFC championship. That's the pinnacle of the sport. That's like everyone's ultimate goal. So, yeah, everyone's super proud of him. It's really inspiring too to see someone that you train with, like in the gym, obtain that. So it's awesome.
And probably right now there are a few really interesting options for Joshua because there is like Taira who also fought that night. There is Horiguchi who fought for the UFC title like 10 years ago. So some really good names, and I think that when a fighter can fight against like world class fighters, because of that his like skill level and overall let's say skill level will definitely go up and develop.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. When you're the champ, you got to fight the best. So, like anyone at our gym, we don't take easy fights. We take all the hard fights because that's how you develop as a fighter and get better.
And if you can tell me how your overall journey with combat sport started, did you have some maybe traditional combat sport background?
So no, actually, I was a football player like all the way growing up and through middle school and high school. But in high school, I was started like watching MMA heavily. I think I started watching around like UFC 194, or I think it was when Bisping won his belt is when I started watching like really consistently. And I started to fall in love with the sport. I went to go see a couple live shows, and then when I was a senior in high school, I started training traditional in the gi jujitsu for a couple years, and then I was like, "Yeah, man, I love jujitsu, but this isn't enough." So I started looking around for MMA gyms, and I was fortunate enough to find 4 Ounce Fight Club, which is like which is the greatest gym in Houston. So yeah, I didn't have any traditional training, so I started just jujitsu and made my way to 4 Ounce, and then worked my way up, did a couple smoker fights, and then started my amateur career.
So probably it's great that your first gym was one of the best gyms like in the Texas, like the best regional gym.
Definitely, man. I got extremely lucky going to 4 Ounce, and it was a perfect fit. Like right when I came and did the trial class, I felt right at home. I felt very welcome, but I also felt like, there was so much to learn, and that's what piqued my interest. They had a lot to teach, and I was just ready to learn.
And like from the fan's perspective, the first moment that the fan can enjoy the sport, there is like this is like super cool thing. And in your case, did you have any like favorite fighter in like first year of watching MMA?
Yeah, I did. I definitely was a big fan of like TJ Dillashaw for sure, and John Jones, of course. But yeah, later on, I got into like being a real big fan of like Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya and Henry Cejudo. He just retired, last weekend. But yeah, those are definitely a few of my favorites.
And of course, like TJ was such a big part of like history of the lower weight classes. His fight like against Dominic Cruz, against like Renan Barao, did this two distractions even. So probably he can be like a little bit forgotten legend, let's say.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. He definitely doesn't get enough flowers that he deserves for sure.
And of course, like you train in a like a great gym, but if you can tell me who, in your opinion, is like the guy who has like a lot of potential, but maybe not many people right now know about him. Because actually, I spoke with few fighters from the team, and overall, I consider it like one of the best regional gyms. But maybe there is one or two names that nobody talk about, and they can be like new Joshua Van, let's say.
Okay. Well, honestly, like our team is full of killers, so to point out one guy it would be hard. But to think, uh, two guys I train with pretty regularly would be one of my teammates, KJ. He just made his pro debut, and like he got a finish in like 30 seconds in Fury, and then another training partner of mine who's still an amateur, but he's probably going to be pro soon. Would be he's a 45er for Fury. His name's Lloyd. So those two guys, I would probably say watch out for them for sure.
And I think that overall is great to when, of course, when there are like UFC fighters is great, but when there are like regional prospects who also all of them have the same dream, is probably also great to train with them, because you as the team want one thing, and because of that you can like improve really quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like we all have the same goal, and seeing like so many guys at our gym reach that. Like our head coach Daniel Pineda was in the UFC, Josh UFC champ, Michael Aswell in the UFC, Alden Correa in the UFC. Like we're seeing that the work that you put in, like it'll get you there. So you just got to put in the work. So it's really inspiring seeing guys at the gym make it to the level we want to be at, you know.
And actually, I think that Daniel Pineda won all of his fights by way of the finish, like knockout or submission, and it's like super rare thing in MMA because in the end, the fighter even like the with finishing style has like two or three decisions, and I think that Daniel didn't have any.
Yeah, he finished all of his fights and like he's that good. Like he beats everyone's ass at the gym still, even though he's retired. Like he's the real deal. So to learn from like a legend like that, it's really good stuff. And for me to finally get a finish in my last fight, I definitely think that made him proud for sure.
And what do you think is the area that you need to improve the most? Because of course, like everybody have to improve everything, but one thing that let's say in near future you want to be like focused on.
Uh, Probably, I'm pretty critical of myself, so I'd probably say, obviously striking, I haven't showed, the layers of my striking, but they're there. I just have to show them. So, probably just showing a little bit more of my striking and starting a little harder. I think I need to start the fight a little more with like a little bit more intensity.
Yes, and I think that like in boxing, there are boxers who can like read opponent for like 2 or 3 rounds, and after this time they can be like let's say go for the finish. And in MMA, there is not much of the time because when you have just 3 rounds, it's you can't lose like time too much.
Right. I totally agree. Like if you lose the first round, you're fighting from behind because you gotta win the next two, and it's really it's an uphill battle. So I agree. Starting faster would definitely help me out.
And what is like the main motivation for you to train and to fight on a really high level?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I would just say like this is my dream. Like this is what I want to do. I can't really see myself. Well, I can't see myself doing anything else. Like nothing else gets my interest or gets me excited like, MMA does. And I just love it. I love the sport. I love to train. I love the weight cut. I love all of it.
And how much of the weight do you usually cut?
Uh, about like 25 pounds, but like 15 the week of, not like all in one week.
Because actually for many fighters this is like the toughest part of MMA because it's like super hard like for your body, and in the end like fighting is much simpler than cutting weight.
I totally agree. Like weight cutting is never fun, but I feel like, you have to embrace the suck, like embrace the hard parts to really just get the full like experience out of it. So like when I cut weight, there's no sense in complaining because like I'm not gonna miss weight. Like I'm a professional. Like that's just something you don't do. So there's no option. You have to make weight. Even if it's good or bad, you gotta make weight.
Yes, it's like the fight before the fight.
Exactly. That's what I always tell people. That's the first fight. Exactly.
And before you mentioned a few fighters from the like back in the days, let's say. And right now, do you have a fighter that you really like to watch? But of course, not from your gym, because of course it would be an obvious thing.
Okay, so like we're talking like UFC fighters that I like
Yes,
to
yes.
watch. Okay, that's a good question. Let me think. Let me think. I love watching Dricus Du Plessis. I'm a big fan of his because my girlfriend, she's South African, so I've been following Dricus like his entire UFC career just because he was like one of the only South Africans. So I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of Hamzat Chimaev, like of course. Islam, I'm a big fan of him. And how could I not be a fan of Taporia? Like that dude's on fire right now.
And probably this fight will not happen right now, but Islam against Ilya, if it would be like a fight, what do you think?
I'm going with Islam. I think he's too big, and I think his wrestling is just too good. But Taporia, like obviously, is the greatest boxer in the UFC. So I don't know that would be a really like legendary fight for sure.
Yes, and Ilya actually has this kind of Conor McGregor vibe a little bit, that he's like super confident, and even if you think, oh, he will lose, he always find a way. So it would be like a really interesting fight. But in the end, I think that Islam would be a favorite because he's like bigger, and of course he's like not only great wrestler, but I think that his striking also improved for like few last year, let's say.
I agree. I totally agree. I think his striking is actually like pretty underrated. I don't think he showed too much of it in that last Jack Della fight, but like in the Volk fights, like man, his kicks were crazy. I think his striking is really underrated.
And when you have a few hours to the fight, do you feel some maybe stress, maybe nerves with the like feeling that you will face another train killer?
I mean, yeah, of course, right? Like you're gonna get nervous in the few hours, like, but nerves are good. Like I've always dealt with the nerves, but I've done some research on how to deal with that type of stress, and they say like if you're nervous, that's good. Like your body is just getting prepared for you to go fight another person. Like if you're not nervous before that, like something's wrong with you for sure.
Yes, you probably need to be like psychopath or something
Right,
like
yeah,
this.
exactly, exactly.
And also when you think about next few years, uh, when would you like to see yourself on the like highest stage? So probably the UFC.
That's a really good question. Honestly, if I were to like say like, best case scenario, like late 2027, 2028, if I get like, keep getting these wins and these finishes and maybe get enough wins to get on the contender series or just get that late notice call up.
Yes, probably like short notice is the best opportunity, especially when you don't really have a problem with making weight, because like contender series is just for I think 10 weeks, and like a short notice fight can actually happen in every UFC card even.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you got to stay ready and just train year round. But that's not really an issue training at 4 ounce. Like, obviously, we take it up a notch in fight camp, but if you're not in fight camp, you're usually still there, helping your teammate that's in fight camp. So yeah, just staying ready is really important.
And of course, like taking another fights, you will fight against like every style possible. But do you have maybe one style that you think that can be some kind of problem for you, that you would need to spend a little bit more time for preparing for this kind of opponent?
I don't think so. I think I fought against pretty much every style of fighter that there is. I fought strikers, like I fought my first fight amateur was against like a 5'6" like college wrestler. So I fought, brawlers. The last guy I fought, Trevor, was probably the best guy I fought, and he was like a pretty like overall well-rounded guy, but I would say he was more of like a brawler type person. So uh, I wouldn't say anything is too difficult to deal with. You just got to change your approach.
Yes, and especially on the like highest level, you will face against like world class wrestler, world class striker. So you will not be able to find to fight just against one style. So in the end, you will fight against everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, you just got to be ready for everything and just not focus on what they're going to do, but just be concerned with what you're going to bring to the table and what you're going to do to them.
And outside of fighting, let's say even right now, like a few weeks away from your fight, do you have any maybe like a hobby or passion outside of the game that you like to spend your time on?
Um, Honestly, not really. Like, I'm pretty busy. Like, I work uh at a warehouse, and then I'm also still in school. Like, I take online classes, so like that really takes up a lot of my time. But I'd say I just enjoy hanging out with my dog and taking her on walks and playing video games. I'm like really simple and basic.
Yes, but with fighting, with school, and with work, probably you really don't have much of the time.
Yeah, so I really don't have too much outside time other than that. Yeah.
Okay, Nick, so many thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope that you will be really active next year and you will get more finishes also, of course, in Fury.
Yes, dude, definitely. Thank you for inviting me. This is like my first ever interview, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.